Chapter 8.
Pete and the rest of the household were nervous. Over the next few days, they would hear on the grapevine that the police were visiting everyone that went to the party. Pete knew it would only be a matter of time until they knocked on his door. In the merry mixture, the feeling was of disgust. Plenty of people, except for the people that bought acid from Pete, had something to say. One particular evening, they had bumped into Neff, and he made the point the pigs would be round. For some reason, Pete and Mr. Claypole didn't really realise the seriousness of the situation. Just like the night of the party, they didn't really think of any consequences. The day came very unexpectedly. There had been a session the night before, which had been somewhat of a full drug binge. Pete woke. The morning was bright. He climbed into his dressing gown and made his way downstairs. The bath was running while Pete tidied up and had breakfast. He was about to get in the bath when there was a knock at the door. Guess who? "Hello, Mr. Peter Pan?" At the door stood two officers. "Yes. Might we come in and have a word with you?" "Sure." Pete was still very high on drugs. He hadn't any idea why the police were visiting. "Is there also a Mr. Claypole residing here?" "Why, yes. He's in bed." Pete was smiling. "Would you wake him, please?" The officer frowned. "Sure, won't be a moment." Pete made his way up the stairs.
One of the officers waited at the bottom of the stairs.
"Hey, Mr. Claypole, the fuzz is here. They want you to come downstairs." Come on, mate. They want to speak to us about something." Pete went back downstairs to where the police stood and ushered them into the living room. "He'll be down in a moment," Pete said, smiling. "Would you like a cup of tea?" "No, thank you." "Were you at Mr. Neff's party?" "Oh, that. Oh, yes. Mad party, that one. Whole place got—" Pete realised and smiled. Mr. Claypole arrived bleary-eyed. "Yes, we were there." "Right," said the officer. "You have the right to remain silent." "Sorry, are you arresting us?" "Only I've got a bath running." "We'd like you to accompany us to the station." "Can I have my bath before we go?" Pete smiled. He could see some pretty mad hallucinations coming from the police. He thought how friendly they were for police officers. "No. We'd like you to come now, please." "Oh, okay. I'll just get dressed and be right with you." An officer accompanied Pete to his room, and next, they were being bundled into a van. They arrived at the police station and led into a room. "I'll record the interview, gentlemen." "Okay. Would you like a solicitor present?" "No. That's fine. Ask away." The officer pressed record on the tape recorder. "Interview with Mr. Peter Pan and Mr. Claypole. Criminal damage. Officer conducting interview myself." "Now, were you at the said party?" "Oh, yes. It wasn't that good, though. Not a proper party. No dancing or anything." Pete's smile went from ear to ear. His eyes saucer-shaped. "Did you take part in the damage to said house?" "Oh, yes. I broke a window and pulled some tiles off the wall. Nothing compared to what everyone else was doing, though." "Could you name anyone else at the party?" I don't know anyone else's names. There were quite a few people doing damage, though." "You don't know anyone's names?" "Just nicknames. I can't really remember, though." "Try." Sorry, it feels like such a long time ago now." What's that?" "Punky bloke called. No, can't remember." Pete was still smiling. He and Mr. Claypole were charged for £4,000 worth of damage. Neff was in trouble. More trouble than expected. So much trouble he'd split up with his girlfriend. He was in loads of shit because of Pete and the party, not to mention trouble with the police again. Today, he wasn't even going to bother thinking about it. After today, it wouldn't matter anymore. He walked into the merry mixture, left a note and £40 with the bar staff. "Here's £40, have a drink on me." Neff left the pub walked across the road to the multi-story car park, climbed the steps and walked across to the wall overlooking Lincoln and all it hadn't had to offer him. Thoughts had escaped him. Emotion was vacant. He was alone, with no help. He climbed to the top of the wall and jumped. Pete and Neff had been friends once. Friends that had turned into acquaintances. Someone called Pinky has given me a fact. This bloke, I presume, is in the know where drugs are concerned. He is gay. I will not go into the hard facts or anything, because I could go on about it for ages. From what I can gather since starting to get to know him, I first thought he had a problem with his sexuality. But he hasn't. He is in the norm. He knows, and everyone else knows, his or her standing position. He has though got a problem with drugs. He loves E. Like most homosexuals I have met, they always seem to end up in London at some point in their lives, to discover things. I suppose it's because London attracts everyone and anyone who are what they are, meaning very different from everyone else. People who come from all sorts of small places, who just need to break out and have something to say. Only to find out in London, nobody is really listening. I realise this in a sense, that people always come back to Lincoln, back to the womb of ridicule, be it altogether louder in every aspect of who they are, always with the words that London's not for them, or that they had to come back for a reason, and that they would be going to London again soon, probably to speak some more to themselves. Basically, I never liked London. Probably never will either. Anyway, Pinky. He was at one point sat in the entertainment room at home about to take his fifth E. They were capsules too. I decided that for him it wasn't a good idea. Not just for his life, but for others too. So he didn't, and we all went to the Arboretum and had a nice walk. I chatted with him and found out something very peculiar. E was apparently founded by, from what I understood Pinky to be saying, a German doctor, and was originally brought out as a weight loss pill. That was in 1914. It wasn't actually illegal until 1977. Incredible. This brings me to something I read about to do with cocaine. From scratch, the drug comes from a 2.5 meter plant called Erythroxylon coca. It is grown in the Andes. Originally Inca runners took the leaf and chewed it with lime, which extracted the alkaloid. It stopped the runners from feeling any sort of hunger or thirst. In fact, they measured distances by wad of coca leaf. 1 wad was equal to 3 kilometers. In the late 1800s, it entered Europe as a local anesthetic for eye surgery. Then it was used as an antidote for morphine addiction. Cocaine, of course, was legal back then. It became so popular that there was a drink made containing the drug, Coca-Cola. Sadly though, for you cokeheads out there, nowadays, it's only the name that's got coca in it. I've recently met a girl who doesn't take drugs at all. She is also a religious nut. She believes in God. As with sexuality, I will not thrive on the religious subject. Only if believing in something makes you feel good, whatever it is you believe in, then do it. Her name is Lemonade, and I have to admit I really like her. I suppose there is truth in opposites attract. I recorded a conversation between us. Lemonade. People I meet in Lincoln are really amazed that I don't take drugs. I didn't even know there were drugs in Lincoln. I mean that nearly every single person I've met has taken drugs. I get asked if I smoke nowadays, and I say no. Then they ask me if I smoke drugs, and I say no. It's not the fact that I don't smoke that shocks people, but the fact I don't take drugs. Me. Have you ever thought about taking drugs, just to see what they're like? Lemonade. No, because I know I never would do it. I've never really thought about it at all. I mean, the good thing about it is, I've never been pushed into doing it. I just say no. I suppose I am a bit of a hypocrite really, because at church, people go on about drugs and drink, And I just think that they don't know, because they've never done it. It really annoys me when people try to tell me what's wrong and how it messes you about, when they just don't know themselves. Me. Do you find people don't talk to you because of the way you are in your beliefs, etc.? Lemonade. Well, not just drugs, but I've realized just recently that people that fancy me or whatever won't even bother talking because I won't sleep with them because of my beliefs. And I've had 3 people who have said that within 2 weeks. It hurts me in a way. I don't feel like a person, just a sex object. So I started a relationship with her. She is now living with me, and we are getting married within a few weeks. She is smashing. Sonic and Dopey have moved out, and the house is one big happy family. News on the dealing front is that we will have the stuff in a few days. The trips will be yin-yangs. We have worked 2 people out with helping us shift them. So hopefully they will be in and out of our hands in a matter of days. The worst thing is Mr. Claypole and I are on bail at the moment, having not been arrested before, and for those of you who haven't, it's a weird experience being locked up in a cell. Discussing it later, Mr. Claypole announced, "I got quite a buzz out of it actually." I agreed. It was quite exciting. A rush. Now this is the way of explaining a rush from acid. I have taken notes from a recording I did whilst tripping. I have taken half a tab. The acid is a Buddha. From what I can remember and also make of the recording, a rush feels like when you need to stretch and your body gets to the highest point and stays there. It's also like yawning, with the feeling that your nose is bleeding while your ears are popping. For some reason, I have to keep swallowing. These rushes sound gruesome, I suppose, but they're only at peak time. Someone told me that on E, it's twice, if not 3 times as strong as this. Also with E, your whole body continually rushes once you are up. Sometimes there are stronger rushes than others, and it comes in waves. Me, I wouldn't like to be like this all the time. Lemonade, why, what's wrong? Me, oh, I'm all right. I mean, I'm rushing all right. I'm having a good time. At the moment, I'm seeing loads of traces. Traces, also known as trails, are like when you're stood in front of a strobe light waving your hands about. That's the best way of explaining it. Lemonade, when you grabbed hold of me tonight to give me a hug, your whole body was shaking. You held on to me very tightly, and that totally scared me. It was as though you were totally out of control. Me, no, I was in control. The way the drugs work on your body is like a boost of strength. These traces are excellent. The rest of the recording isn't worth putting here. That is to say, I was having a good time. One thing about the trip was, Lemonade was out of her head too, without drugs. It was just from everyone else having a good time. She got a buzz from drug life. So it can really happen. You don't need drugs, they are just an added extra for life's little pleasures. Pinky is on about having some cocaine adventures on Tuesday, but I explained about there being a rave at Nottingham on Friday, so he might save it until then. I will definitely be dropping half an E. There will be Mr. Claypole, Pinky, Strawberry and myself, so it should be something good to write about. I went to Nottingham recently to fetch the 100 that became 50 yin-yangs which became Buddhas which became nothing. There was a mix-up. In the end, I came back with an 1/8 of hash, and best of all 2 fantasies. But it turned out it wasn't best of all. They did nothing. Apparently, they were the real things. And to be fair, I did get a few bits and bobs of things here and there. But fantasy, what a waste of the name. Mr. Claypole, Larry, Hoover, a newfound friend, and myself had half a real double-dipped on this weekend. I was really impressed. It really was double dip. We had given the money to PhotoFit. Excellent for £4 a tab. It really did make up for the stuff we got from Nottingham. Mr. Claypole is worrying me at the moment. People come down off acid, but Mr. Claypole just lately has been coming down like a bombshell and causing earthquakes. He really did piss me off. I just felt like telling him if he can't handle his acid, then stop doing it. He did have hassle off his mother when he was coming down though, so I didn't say anything. He did apologize for having an attitude. So that's that. Larry was the center of the party whilst tripping. He was incredibly funny. During the day, we had bought some real tacky toys, some brightly coloured guns that shot white balls into the air. While we were coming up on the trips, they were flying all over the place. The traces were incredible. Strawberry brought this bloke round and left him while we were coming down. Don't like him. I will give him the name Dodge, because he is dodgy. I have only seen him twice, and took a disliking to him straight away. He has apparently been in prison for selling speed and hash. He only looks about 19. Here is a bit of information about tripping again. Never look at bright lights. If you trip during the day, wear sunglasses. Apparently, if you are high on anything, your pupils dilate, which in turn means your retina can be harmed. One of Pinky's retinas is supposed to be very badly burnt. So if you're going to take drugs, buy some sunglasses. Mr. Claypole is doing my head in. He is being funny with me. So is Meow. So is Lemonade. At the moment, I feel very happy and will not let anything get to me, even though I am. It's not the fact that they're giving me a hard time. It's the fact they won't tell me why. I mean, it's not that I take anyone for granted or anything like that. I don't have a good time at anyone else's expense, unless they're paying, of course. Anyway, I felt a weird sense of eyes on Peter Pan tonight. I wanted to have a good time at Ventures, but nobody else really seemed to. I think it's because it wasn't as good as last week. I might add, if you're not going to try, then don't invade other people's space who want to have a good time. Lemonade spent a lot of time talking to Mr. Claypole tonight. Captain Paranoia strikes again. I did feel they were talking about me. Or maybe that's me being a bit self-centered. I saw Birdie tonight. She was drunk. Apparently she'd had her interview at Brighton yesterday. It all went well. I hope she gets in. She needs to be out of Lincoln. A close friend of hers was chatting to me tonight. The friend was saying how much she had changed. I knew that ages ago. Why do you think we split up? People do change. Anyway, Birdie seemed happy enough, so that's all right. I wish I knew what all this paranoia crap was about though. I'm going to get angry if someone doesn't spill the beans soon. I can't be doing with it. I am on a good rush of happiness at the moment, and nobody is going to take that away. I think I deserve it, even if it is at other people's expense.